untouchable. Alex helped where he could, but always kept the focus on empowering residents to organize, document, and fight back with truth, not chaos. Back at home, a new HOA board was forming. After Karen's expulsion, the community organized a special election. Neighbors kept pushing Alex to run.
Stream started.
He declined every time with the same line: "I just want to live in peace." Instead, he nominated Mrs. Jenkins, a retired school principal known for her no-nonsense fairness and her ability to listen without bias. She won almost unanimously. Under her leadership, the new board focused on transparency. They created a shared online portal where meeting minutes were updated in real time, and any resident could submit proposals or concerns without fear of retaliation. Violation notices were now accompanied by photographs, timestamps, and an appeals process. No more mystery fines. No more midnight threat. 1 week after the new board was sworn in, they held a community potluck. Alex attended, reluctantly at first, but gradually eased into the gathering. People thanked him over barbecue ribs and lemonade. Kids ran past him laughing, and for the first time in months, he saw his neighborhood as it had once been when he moved in, full of potential. A few residents asked if he'd ever considered teaching a digital security workshop. He said maybe, and they all seemed excited by the idea. That night, he walked home just as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, casting long, golden shadows across the sidewalk. It was quiet again, but this time, it was the good kind of quiet. Karen, meanwhile, had gone almost entirely silent. She stayed indoors, her front yard growing unkempt and uncharacteristically messy. The woman who used to patrol the street with a measuring tape and clipboard now kept her curtains drawn and her mailbox overflowing. The new HOA board had issued her a formal notice to remove unpermitted surveillance equipment from her property. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. According to public records, she was also under audit by the state-level HOA compliance.
Yo, welcome to the stream.
Criminal charges for document
This is
her son had left town.
This is one of my main pistols I go using in my streams.
The empire they built on fake power had completely collapsed, and now it stood as a cautionary tale. Alex's house had become the safest one on the block.
I usually don't like to show off my
because of
pistols.
his advanced systems, but because the neighborhood now knew that if anyone tried anything shady, they wouldn't get away with it. His network of sensors.
Oh yeah, you can add me. I am dropping my username right now. Here you go.
One evening, he installed the final component in his system upgrade, a discrete voice access panel integrated with facial recognition. When he walked up to his door that night, the panel scanned his face, pinged softly, and greeted him with a simple welcome back, Alan. It was more than a security feature. It was a reminder.
It's my first time playing, so yeah. Hey, I'll show you out some more stuff. I'm just waiting till you get me added.
Coffee and Pixel curled up beside his keyboard. He'd occasionally glance at the corner of his screen, where the live feed of his porch remained stable and untouched. There were no more surprise visits. No unexpected citations.
Okay.
No one dared tamper with anything.
I use this GC45 a lot in my streams.
This wasn't just another tech guy. This was the one who built the system, got locked out of his own house, and still managed to beat the people who thought they controlled the keys. And now, every door he walked through opened on his terms. One afternoon, Mrs. Jenkins dropped by with a thank you basket and an envelope. Inside was a letter signed by dozens of residents, expressing their gratitude for what he'd done. Along with it was a certificate that read Honorary Advisor to the HOA Board. It was symbolic, of course. He had no voting power, no official title, but that was exactly how he liked it. He pinned the letter on his wall and tucked the certificate away in a drawer. He didn't need to frame it. His satisfaction came not from titles or praise, but from the knowledge that he had taken back what was his and helped others do the same. As the sun set over the neighborhood and the streetlights blinked on one by one, Alex stood on his porch, arms crossed, Watching the world he helped restore settle into calm. For the first time in a long while, he had nothing left to monitor, no new intrusion to prepare for, no threat looming on the edge of his net.
Okay, give me a sec. I was just editing some
The
guns.
distant laughter of kids on bikes, and the peaceful click of a door that now locked and unlocked only for him.
Oh yeah, it's this feature.
The first time I met Karen, I was resting on the edge of my front yard.
It takes me a little to do this sometimes.
The smell of fresh soil. She walked up like she owned the block, clipboard in one hand, sunglasses tilted to the tip of her nose like a judge appraising a crime scene. "That's not regulation fescue," she declared, pointing at my vibrant green lawn like it was radioactive. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. According to her, the HOA had voted on color consistency 2 months ago, whatever that meant. I told her I'd never heard of such a rule, and asked to see it in writing. "You must be
You sure this is you?"
She sniffed. "The board doesn't distribute every update. We assume people care enough to stay informed." That's when I knew what I was doing. Karen wasn't just an HOA board member. She was a self-appointed gatekeeper of the entire subdivision. Her eyes flicked toward my garage, lingering on the 1980s Ford F-150 I'd been restoring. And that eyesore, commercial vehicles aren't allowed in driveways overnight. I laughed, explaining
Yeah,
that
just
I
add
was the
me.
original builder, and that truck had hauled the first batch of lumber that stood beneath her roof. "You built this?" she asked, incredulous. "Sure you did." And with that, she scribbled something on a violation notice and slapped it on my mailbox.
Oh wait, yeah.
That night, I reviewed the HOA rules front to back. No mention of grass color.
Is there a space
No
between the
ban on
loser
grass
part?
colors. There's a lot of ambiguous language, like aesthetic harmony and community consistency. Karen's ammo was interpretation, not legislation. The next morning, a second violation appeared, this time for unapproved modifications to outdoor lighting. She was clearly walking by my house twice a day with a flashlight and a vendetta. My LED porch lights were soft white, not neon ray beams. But that didn't stop her from sending a group email to the neighborhood warning about lighting pollution that was disturbing nocturnal wildlife. 3 of my neighbors had owl statues. There were no nocturnal creatures, just Karen lurking. I politely replied to her email thread, offering to host a lighting adjustment workshop for concerned neighbors. Karen didn't respond directly.
Bro,
Instead, a new motion
is it literally called Bro Is?
non-standard lighting fixtures. The vote passed by 1 vote. I had a pretty good idea who she persuaded, but I wasn't rattled yet. I simply installed motion sensors, so the lights only turn on when someone approached. That's when the real petty...
Oh my god.
Karen reported me for startling a pedestrian with sudden illumination, claiming her Yorkshire
There you go.
traumatized. She then filed a formal complaint accusing me of disrupting the aesthetic peace of the evening. My neighbor, Cliff, who's legally blind, called the most useful innovation the block had seen in 5 years. Karen's next move was almost artistic.
So you go in your options and then you go to your notifications.
And warning of the danger of private projects by individuals unfamiliar with neighborhood aesthetics. I'd paved every one of those sidewalks with my own hands. She was weaponizing irony like a sculptor.
I'll invite you now.
A few days later, she stood outside my fence with a rifle.
I am.
Taking pictures of my flower beds. I asked if she wanted the blueprints for the sprinkler system. She didn't laugh. The next bulletin had a new rule suggestion. Residents must submit a law and design approval form prior to spring planting. That one didn't pass, but it was close. 6 votes to 7. I started to realize Karen was slowly re-engineering the entire HOA code to punish me, or at least control me. It was death by 1,000 passive-aggressive paper cuts. So I attended my first HOA meeting in 6 years.
Welcome in.
Quiet when I walked in. Karen was already in the podium, pointing to a slideshow titled Civic Pride, when one house refuses to conform. The first photo, my mailbox. The second, my truck. I stood up,
Welcome in.
asked one question. Can anyone here tell me before the concrete...
So you haven't played much?
Silence. That's right, I said. I did. before any of you moved in. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I saw a few faces.
Sure, my pistol's doing a high amount of damage. I
Some
like
even
it,
looked
dude.
embarrassed. Karen tried to interject, but I held up the original blueprints, stamped with my name, the date, and the county seal. If my lawn doesn't belong, I said calmly.
I use one right later.
Karen was redder than a stop sign.
This is not my gun.
Decorum and moved on, but the
you have to buy them or sometimes get them for free.
Karen had poked the wrong way, and I was just warming up.
And that is not my loadout.
We have to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Was this the most satisfying HOA story you've ever heard? Let us know.
Yeah, basically, this is not my pistol.
Instead of retreating, she doubled down in the most absurd way imaginable. She targeted my mailbox and started summoning ghosts. One morning, I noticed a small neon orange sticker reading, "Out of compliance, CHOA guidelines." My mailbox was a standard black post with a brass number plate. Exactly the model approved in the original 2005 bylaws by me. So, I peeled off the sticker, assuming it was a mistake. The next day, there were 3. By the end of the week, it looked like my mailbox had been ticketed by meter maids from every department in the city. I confronted Karen directly, asking what regulation I was supposedly violating. She pulled out a laminated booklet, her own version of the HOA code, and pointed to a new section labeled Artistic Uniformity in Residential Fixtures. According to her revision, all mailboxes must now be textured slate gray with brushed nickel numbering. I laughed, because that wasn't just new, it was impossible. Slate gray wasn't even carried at the local hardware store. Well, she said smugly, maybe you should
See,
try
I got
Karen's
plenty of
design
cameras
today
myself.
corner. I own a small supply boutique. That's
This
where
is
it
my
clicked.
main pistol,
She
so.
launched her own side business and was pushing mandatory HOA compliance that funneled into her store. Several neighbors
I usually do casual.
Not knowing they were funding the very woman who finally, I wasn't just being targeted. I was in the middle of a rigged monopoly. So, I filed an official complaint to the HOA Oversight Committee, which,
you got Black Ops 6?
turns out, was composed of 3 people. Karen, Brenda, and a retired librarian who couldn't hear out of her left ear.
And this mode's much easier than Rebirth.
The complaint was dismissed, but I had a better plan. I replaced my mailbox with a handcrafted wooden replica of the original neighborhood sign. The one I carved in my garage
Get my XP active too.
in elegant curves, etched gold lettering, and a carved-out eagle perched at the top. Within hours, Karen stormed down the block like a tyrant in heels. You violated no fewer than 4 subsections of the aesthetics charter, she screamed.
Make sure I got an hour of this
mailbox,
active.
not a monument. I responded calmly. It's a tribute to the neighborhood's history. I thought civic pride mattered to you. The next day, she called
There you go, Rebirth Island.
Agenda, mailbox, tradition versus tyranny. I attended with a folder full of invoices and original architectural documents that proved my mailbox design was the original standard. When Karen tried to argue her version of modern improvement, I asked if her boutique was profiting from these changes. She froze. Everyone turned to look at her. That's irrelevant, she snapped. What's relevant, I said, is that you're rewriting community rules to push products from your personal business. That's called self-development. The boardroom erupted into murmurs. One man, Ron from Elm Drive, stood up and asked, "Wait, you've been making us buy $200 mailboxes from your store?" Karen's face was turning the color of overripe tomatoes. They're artisanally coated. You printed the stickers at Staples.
Mastercraft.
After the meeting, I sent a community-wide email with side-by-side comparisons of HOA-approved mailboxes over the years. Turns out Karen's modern standard wasn't just overpriced. It peeled in the sun. That weekend, 20 homeowners swapped out their
I can't say I'm very good. I mainly play a lot of the time for fun.
Protests. Karen called it a rebellion. But to the rest of us, it was Christmas in July. She fined every household involved.
I'll try
That was
to.
her next mistake. One of the
I prefer casual because I can hit more sniping.
happened to be a civil rights attorney She requested an audit of the HOA's procedural integrity, citing financial interest violations and abuse of power. I started helping her dig. We pulled financial reports, invoices, and payment ledgers. Guess whose name showed up on reimbursement forms for decor compliant consultations?
We're headed to the war
Karen's
zone.
boutique
Get
again,
geared up.
$9.
Stand by.
875 bills.
Let's see.
HOA
All stations.
the board was now officially under investigation by the City Department of Housing Oversight. Karen blamed
starting.
the next news item, calling me a disruptive influence to preserve harmony.
I mainly go for Lighthouse.
I printed that sentence, framed it, and placed it next to my new, fully compliant mailbox, dated neon green, just for fun. That was the day I realized Karen didn't care about me. She cared about control. And I'd just taken away her favorite weapon. If you thought Karen would retreat after the mailbox meeting, you let control of the front yard slip.
And there goes my
She
spot.
slithered away into the backyard, places she had no business.
Wanna head from you wanna head over here to this spot?
Installed a small griffin to shade his aging golden retriever in the summer heat. Within 2 days, a bright yellow unauthorized structure tag was taped to his fence. Karen claimed it was a view structure, despite the pergola being 5 feet tall, nestled behind an 8-foot privacy fence. That's when I knew we had a fresh rule. The next building of the HOA included a new clause. Any modification, permanent or temporary, visible from the second floor window, must receive prior written approval. It was absurd. Suddenly, Karen was claiming dominion over the view from inside people's homes. I checked the HOA charter again. Not a word about interior visibility. So, I did what any red-blooded
Bounty.
builder would do. I built a gazebo. Not just any gazebo. Either I built a reclaimed wood from the original construction zone, engraved with a quote from the town's founding father. Let no one govern your home but your conscience. The next morning, Karen was in my backyard. Literally. She had climbed through a hedge to photograph the gazebo. She was angry. I called the cops. Trespassing, plain and simple. When the officer arrived, Karen launched into a full lecture.
Good night, don't be on UAVs.
Promoting community culture, unsanctioned decorative aggression. He looked at her, blinked, and said, "Ma'am, it's a gazebo." She left,
Enemies are dropping into
muttering
the
about
area.
legal gray areas, low carpet. 2 days later, my gazebo made into the HOA building alongside the use of equipment, team medication, and cliff full of Karen labeled them backyard
No.
detract from communal integrity. It was so ridiculous that I started a neighborhood contest called the Great Backyard Hunt.
Nah, just revived.
Decorate their yards with something personal, creative, or downright.
Killed someone.
The block looked like a low-budget outdoor museum. Inflatable flamingos wearing monocles, handmade garden shrines.
Got me from
Even
behind.
barbecue pit shaped like a Viking warrior. Karen's rage hit in altitude. She patrolled the neighborhood with a selfie stick, filming evidence of our rebellion. That's when she escalated beyond reason. She filed formal citations
Squad
against
mates
8
are in the
homeowners,
safe zone.
including me, for unauthorized cultural expression. I couldn't make this up if I tried. One of the residents she fined, a retired art teacher named Glenda, who had painted a mural of sunflowers. Karen called it visual pollution. Glenda cried.
That was close.
I got to work. I helped Glenda paint the mural. This time, adding a smiling Karen figure being chased by sunflowers with pitchforks. Everyone loved it. Karen lost it. She demanded the mural be painted over. When we refused, she went nuclear. She proposed a motion for full yard visibility inspection. Monthly walkthroughs where a board member could request entry into her backyard. That was the line. We rallied. Nearly the entire block showed up to the next HOA meeting. Some wearing matching t-shirts that read, "My yard, my rules." Karen stood in front of the projector. She was presenting a military campaign. This community is at risk of becoming an
Mark the
aesthetic
remaining
prison.
operators from that squad.
You mean it started
Hunt
with
them down.
business? I asked, laughter erupted. Even Linda, her cousin on the board.
Stay sharp.
But the best part came when Fatima revealed something she'd been
Kodak,
sitting
headed
on.
your way.
She found legal precedent in 2009 case, Goldstein versus Firestone
Soldier
HOA,
incoming.
which ruled that backyards would enclose fall outside the jurisdiction of aesthetic regulation unless they carried a public safety hazard. Karen, father said, holding up a pretty case, you're violating your own authority. Emotion failed. Badly. Karen looked like someone had just poured lemonade into her gas tank. But poetic justice hadn't arrived. Yet, that night, someone anonymously installed a Karen pinata in my gazebo. He was wearing tiny sunglasses,
You good over there, dude?
holding a clipboard and that little text bubble stapled to
Enemy
that read,
UAV is online.
not regulation, and I'm filing a report. Kids laughed. Parents laughed. Karen threatened to call animal control. We weren't sure why. At that moment, though, it was clear. Karen had declared war on her private lives, and she was losing up everything. If Karen couldn't control what was built in her yard, she'd try to control what left it. It started with a flurry of courtesy reminders, slipped under everyone's doormats, neatly printed notes with phrases like, please respect designated refuse presentation hours, and we are a neighborhood, not a landfill. Most people shrugged them off, assuming it was just Karen being her usual control freak self. But then came the citations. Luis got one for putting his bin out 15 minutes before 7 p.m. Glenda got one for leaving her recycling slightly ajar. I got one for unauthorized refuse placement. Because my trash bin was 6 inches too close to the curb. I wasn't even home when it happened. Karen had started walking blocks every Tuesday night with a tape measure. She said it was about 5 minutes visual order. Really, it was about power. Trash day, everything else had something to
Mute your mic.
and if Karen could control that, she could control everything. Her next move was proposed refuse conduct policy, which included gem-like phrases, such as bins must face full with logos visible, and residents must not exceed a decibel limit of 40 dB. Rolling bins in the street. That's quieter than
dropping into
whisper.
the area.
People
Watch
thought it
your
was
skies.
satire, until she began distributing laminated diagrams showing correct bin orientation. I hosted a trash art contest the following week. We turned our bins into rocket ships, treasure chests made with drones. Cliff even put googly eyes and paper crown on his and called it Lord Wastefly. It was harmless fun until Karen called the sanitation department, claiming we were tampering with regulated containers. They showed up confused, saw nothing illegal, and actually complimented Cliff's bin. That only made Karen more furious. She sent a mass email citing help hazards, citing non-existent ordinances, and obstruction of waste receptacles. I replied with a link to the municipal code, highlighting the part that confirmed our bins were in full compliance. 2 days later, Karen declared a neighborhood trash audit, claiming the HOA had partnered with a local waste inspector. No one could find this inspector. Turns out, it was her nephew,
Took
Brad,
why am I taking Chaka's load out?
a college dropout, who showed up in a neon vest and a clip-on badge that said Waste Patrol. Brad carried a clipboard, took photos of bins, and said things like,
Oh, very
this
nice.
one's got attitude. We couldn't believe it. I followed Brad around, filming everything. When I asked what legal authority he had, he replied, my aunt's on the board. That video went viral in our community Facebook group. Hundreds of comments rolled in. Someone even made a remix of Brad saying, this one's got attitude over techno beats. Karen tried to have the video taken. That's when she escalated. She announced a plan to have cameras installed on every street corner to monitor refuse compliance. This isn't the Pentagon. Glenda gasped.
I'm not getting me today.
That's a privacy violation.
I am known as the Great King Bendy for a
This
reason.
time, we printed flyers with Karen's quote. We are a neighborhood, not a landfill. Superimposed over a cartoon image of her riding a trash bin like a chariot. We passed them out like candy. But Karen wasn't done. She played the motion to make herself the waste and aesthetic sanitation officer. It would give her so
Oh, bull!
That meeting was chaos. Ron from Elm Drive showed up with his garbage bin on a leash, like a pet.
And something wrong with
This
your
is
mic.
trashy, he
Give me some time to respawn.
He's a rescue.
They got
Karen
me
was not
dead.
amused, but the room was crying with laughter. I stood up and presented Cindy records.
Don't let him get you. Don't let him get him.
About 87
Come on.
individuals
Got 8
crashed,
seconds. No!
most on Tuesday evening between 6:45 and 7:30 p.m.
Valiant effort.
That's not
Keep your head
community
up.
service.
I don't know why your mic's not working.
That's obsession. The board voted unanimously.
I know I'm in
Denied the
game
motion.
chat.
Linda didn't even look up. Karen stormed out, but not before muttering.
And you're just not the
Anarchy.
you're not prepared for this game.
That night, Brad was seen.
That's why I told you that we go casual so I can help ya. Casual gameplay is much easier to hit shots with.
Captioning. Out of compliance with race control. The likes rolled and faster than garbage day complaints. Karen had tried to regulate the one thing everyone wanted to get rid of, and ended up becoming the neighborhood's biggest mess. By now, Karen's war on trash had failed spectacularly.
After this, you want to go to casual so make it easier?
She pivoted into something more sinister. She tried to erase the neighborhood entirely. It started with
I don't know most of the short language, like short words. I don't know what KBM means. Kind of bad. Is that what? Okay. We'll play this last match and then we'll go to casual and see if you can do better.
Now subject to removal under subsection 7C. Non-compliance.
Or mouse.
Sounded fake, and it was that
I'm a PS4 player, so that's why you see this on my
laid by
stream.
me with a permit stamped and filed at City Hall. But
You type
Karen
very
wasn't
fast, tell you that.
She was looking for leverage. She followed up with formal
Rock
notice of
up. You're headed to
violation
the war
and
zone.
demanded
Oh, keyboard and mouse.
10 business days or facing action. I almost
So you type something.
Instead, I invited the city zoning department over for an inspection. They arrived with blueprints, tape measures, and 2 ice coffers. 10 minutes later, they confirmed the obvious. My property line was untouched. The patio was 100%
Yeah, you
compliant, but
You don't
Karen
do
wasn't.
too bad.
She called a special board vote to authorize retroactive heat review, claiming older structures.
I was terrible once
Attractions.
before I was able to get me a
She
loadout I
mentioned
could understand.
that
Green
along
light.
with the ugly sun canopies and rusted wind chimes, extended
Pop one
a
open for the
4-5
boys.
feet beyond the lot line. I let her speak. I let her build her case. And then when it was my turn, I rolled into the projector, turned off the lights, showed high-res drone images of every lot on the street, including her. This is your deck, Karen. I said, calm.
I know.
Highlighting the overhang is jutting into shared windows. Now, I have a landscaping permit, she said.
Resurgent.
From 2009.
Survive.
Incorrect. 2009 soil stabilization.
Alright, soldier.
It expired.
They missed. Okay, lighthouse.
Room went silent. Then Ron, our unofficial neighbor back raised his hand and said, I helped build that deck. I remember because you paid me with expired chunk of food, cheese tokens. The whole room erupted, but I wasn't done. I handed out copies of a notarized statement from the original HOA architect, me, explaining that all property lines were triple verified during initial development. You want to retroactively punish the homeowners. I asked him to start with yourself. That line hit like a brick to a glass door. Karen's face went ghost white. Linda shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should table that. Second, without even admitting it, Karen couldn't accept it.
Run.
Next day,
Bruh.
written side to my
25
garage.
remain.
Under legal review, property violation pending. It was written in red marker, like a crime scene notice.
I was trying to
Took
snipe.
it down, framed it, and hung it above my fireplace. That night, I hosted a property line lot.
Yeah.
Everyone brought food and printed maps of their lots. It turned into a cookout with blueprints. We even chalked out our boundaries on the sidewalk like crime scene outlines. Cliff set up a tent exactly 1 inch from Karen's lawn and called it Camp 2. Karen called the police. They came. They laughed. Ma'am, the officer said, pointing to Cliff's fold-out chair, this is on public sidewalk, but it's aggressive.
This should be easier for you.
He's eating deviled eggs and meat. The officer raised an eyebrow and walked away. I wasn't surprised when Karen filed a formal eviction request in the
That's
HOA
fine.
board, alleging I had illegally developed non-sanctioned improvements on shared land. The board rejected it in under 60 seconds. But I was surprised when she escalated it to a real attorney. Her.
5
She hired
hours
a guy named Gerald Strutt,
and
who described himself on LinkedIn as a property rights enforcer,
43
HOA
minutes.
champion. His business card had a gold gavel on it.
Did it? Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Paragraphs of badly cited regulations and a demand to vacate within 30 days. I wrote back with 32-page
You have Black Ops 6, dude?
zoning maps, site plans, and copies of Karen's own violations. Gerald never responded again. Rumor has it he quit working for her after she tried to pay him with gift cards for the decor museum. The neighborhood rallied behind me. People dropped off coffee, desserts, even a plant lady. The only guy who stood his ground and knows where it is. Karen tried to claim she was being the HOA ethics panel, which Bottom announced held a hearing and determined she had
I didn't left my PS4 this time.
Personal vendetta. That's a fancy way of saying she tried to kick me out. Failed, got herself written up. It went in the HOA's permanent record. Karen had tried to erase me, but all she did was carve her own name into history as a woman who couldn't evict the guy who built her home. If Karen couldn't beat with rules, fake lawsuits, or yard drama, she'd watch and wait, like a hawk with kryptonite, except worse, because this time she had cameras. It started with a few whispers on the neighborhood app about strange blinking lights in gutters and trees. Glenda was the first to notice something odd. Tiny black domes mounted under the lampposts across from her house, angled suspiciously at her front porch. Birds
I don't know.
Karen explained when questioned, to prevent proper defacement by aggressive starlings. Only, no one had ever seen a starling in our suburb. These are tons, and wires running into boxes duct tape behind street signs. Cliff climbed a ladder one night with a flashlight and confirmed it. Tiny Wi-Fi enabled surveillance cams with motion sensors and cloud storage capability. We were being watched, and not by the city.
Yeah, we are.
Karen had installed her own secret surveillance network. She didn't just want power. She wanted
I'm pretty sure I have my sniper equipped.
real kicker.
I'm gonna slow it out.
Mounted one inside a full
Make me a sniper.
my front yard.
Brand new one.
I found it when I saw a blinking red LED buried beneath pine cones. That was the moment the gloves came off. I removed the device, disassembled it, and found a micro SD card. What was on it? Video clips.
It needs my Frost
of my
Reaper.
driveway, my family barbecue, me bringing in groceries. No audio, but still beyond creepy. I brought the bottle and nearly dropped her coffee. This is illegal surveillance, she said flatly. This isn't HOA enforcement. It's private espionage. We traced the camera's Wi-Fi signature to a router labeled Karen Central Router. The password? HO Queen Woman. I'm not joking, but that we realized she wasn't just monitoring me. She placed cameras all over the neighborhood, near the pool, the community garden, even outside the dog park. Cliff, who enjoys early morning walks this road, was furious. That woman has footage of me feeding squirrels and he said. This is
Need to buy coins first, dude.
Piled a list of confirmed camera locations and posted it on the community forum. The thread exploded. People were livid. Even Linda, her cousin on board, commented, I thought she was a spy. This is next level. Karen, of course.
For 1,100, if you try to buy like a bundle, it's 2,400, and you're gonna need around about a 3,000 one. So I think $50 or so, correct?
This thing has night vision. What are we watching for? Owl crime. Gas is good work. That's when I played the best card in my hand. I handed the city housing inspector a full report detailing the unauthorized installation of electronic equipment on shared.
Oh, the sniper. I'm not used to this aimer.
Tampering with city infrastructure, legal consequences, code violations, possible criminal charges. But the twist? Karen had also been paying for cloud video storage using the HOA's emergency discretionary funds meant for sidewalk repairs and community safety lighting. She was funding her surveillance empire with our money. It was financial misappropriation, embezzlement, technically. Father submitted a formal ethics complaint. The board voted unanimously to strip Karen.
Have you done this map yet?
But it wasn't enough. Glenda's nephew, a tech journalist, got wind of the story and published an expose online. The suburban spy queen, one woman crusade controlling the neighborhood, went viral. Over 200,000 views in 3 days. Karen tried to sue the website.
Here you go.
She lost.
I marked it.
Tried to delete the footage from the cloud. but not before several neighbors had downloaded their clips as evidence. One video even showed Karen
Enemy
sneaking
soldier
on the
incoming.
cliff's porch at 2:17 a.m. to adjust the angle. Began to mean Karen Cam always. The final blow came when the city fined her personally for unauthorized surveillance, tampering with municipal equipment, and privacy.
Oh, bull!
$10,000 in total
I have to go log.
Karen tried making HOA comment.
Trying to reload.
Voted unanimously. Denied. She stood there, arms crossed, veins visible, as Fatima read the
I can get out of here pretty easily. Good luck's not hard.
Fatima said, and you did it while hiding behind the name of the very community you were supposed to serve.
Oh, well, you're joining me, I
Karen
guess.
didn't say a word. She just grabbed her clipboard and walked out. But her kingdom of birdhouse cameras had fallen. And this time, everyone saw it happen in high definition. After the camera scandal exploded and Karen's secret surveillance empire came crashing down, most people would take a break.
Oh, how?
To reevaluate.
I shot him.
But Karen, she reloaded. Her new target wasn't just me.
Well, I'm dead.
Her livelihood.
Next thing I'm going to have to do is why my
Even though I lived
TikTokers.
here, I still ran a successful construction company that operated across the county. I built homes, restored historic properties, and even renovated the community clubhouse a few years back.
You win?
Free of charge. But after her humiliation, Karen went for the jugular. She filed a motion to prohibit
Should I get 4,000 so you can buy me back?
operations within residential parameters and metal fences. She claimed I was running a business out my garage, that I was violating zoning ordinances, and that my company vehicles were industrial eyesores. It was ridiculous.
Why'd you land there?
HQ was 10 miles away. I didn't store equipment at home. My crew never even parked in the neighborhood unless we were helping other residents. Karen had no proof, but what she did have was a new partner in chaos. Gerald Strutz.
There's a most wanted. If you can get that and survive, then you can buy me back. But you can't get in there.
Hired him again. He showed up at the next HOA meeting wearing a three-piece suit and holding a 40-page packet label. Contract to conflict.
You can't enter there.
Community preservation versus private profit. The cover had a poorly photoshopped image of a bulldozer parked in the driveway. Karen's voice trembled with righteousness as she said, "This community is under attack by a rogue
Behind you.
magnate exploiting residential zoning loopholes for personal gain." Glenda choked on the lemonade. Ron muttered, "Oh, for the love of drywall." I calmly stood, opened my
Wait
own
there.
folder and passed around tax records, business cards, and some documents, all clearly stating that my company operated exclusively in the commercial zone. I don't even have a table saw in my garage.
Take the zip line to your side. That yellow thing, that yellow line you see, take it. I'll take you all the way up to the Coliseum.
Karen's eyes narrowed. Then explain this. She
Now
said,
go in there.
slapping down a photo of my branded
In the
badge.
back. All the way to the back of the
That's
Coliseum.
me fixing
Yeah, I
the
need you to
porch after we find
put up too.
executive wind chimes. I replied, he paid me in barbecue. The room laughed. Karen did. Gerald tried.
There you shoot him.
But isn't it true that you conducted
Throw your thermite right at him.
in this neighborhood of the last calendar year? Yes, I answered. Because I live here and I offer friends and neighbors a discount.
Armor.
Or fences fall down. I didn't realize generosity was
Loot that
not
loot his body so you got that cash from him.
Fatima leaned into the mic. Are you suggesting, Mr. Strutz, that a neighbor helping a neighbor is a punishable offense? If it undermines the aesthetic cohesion, let me stop you right there, she said.
Right there.
Because what you're doing sounds a lot
Finish
like
him off.
discrimination.
Loot his body.
Skills he developed
He has
in the
cash.
very homes we live in.
The other one does too.
The room erupted. Even Linda nodded. But Karen
See? There's cash all over there.
She placed yard signs at every entrance.
Now you need only 2,000 more to get me back.
Residential integrity. Say an ode to on-site contracting. They had a stock photo of a frowning man in a hard hat. Problem was, the guy looked nothing like me. So I printed my own sign. Built by me.
415.
Protected by all.
Okay.
Say yes
Oh,
to
it's
real neighbors.
353, so.
I included a list of every house I'd helped repair for free, along with a QR code to a testimonial video compilation.
Can't buy me back yet. I need 2,000 more.
It was cinematic.
That over there. See that crown thing on your map? Head to it.
Contractor activity. The host cut her off. You mean the guy who renovated
This.
our little league
I'll mark
last
it.
summer? Her voice
I've
cracked.
marked it.
Well,
Go head to
he
that
should
and
be
grab
using
it.
that Goodwill's leverage.
If
It
you
was
can
too late.
survive, then you can.
Momentum was
It will
dead.
automatically spawn me back in the
The vote
game.
was held. Should HOA restrict on-site
Now,
work by
just
licensed
survive
neighbors?
4
Failed
minutes.
73. The only votes in favor were Karen and Linda.
You're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be on the map, but if you can kill people, then you lower your time.
Karen had recently
Behind you,
submitted
there's a
a
chest.
request for a deck remodel to a luxury firm under her maiden name.
Turn around.
Guess who she was hoping would subcontract that work? My company.
Go lit up all you can too.
Confirmed the address, and I put it on the banner. Even Karen knows.
Heart rate
she
monitor.
drilled
Go
the
back over there.
I hung it
Should
from
see a
the
chest.
Karen ready.
Shotgun ammo.
Again, Gerald ghosted. Again,
The fight. Behind you.
even hosting a
Someone's trying to shoot you from behind.
where kids got to use hammers, plant flowers, and write.
Put some armor on too.
Charged me for making their houses safe.
Before you get into that
Karen
fight.
tried to shut it down. Code violation.
Hold
noise
triangle.
complaint, child
Hold your armor
Cops
button.
stopped by. They stayed for burgers. Karen watched from a window as I high-fived a group of kids wearing hard hats with my company logo. She tried.
It should look down at your health bar, and there should tell you what key you need to press on your keyboard.
She only reminded people who really built this community brick by brick, and who was trying to tear it down with nothing but a rule book and a bruised ego. By now, Karen had taken more or less than a Scrabble board, but she still clung to power like a tick on a bulldog, despite mounting complaints, public humiliation, and viral.
That's your heart rate monitor.
Lawn gnomes. She remained HOA president, mostly because no one else wanted the job. But that changed the day Fatima sent out a community-wide message titled,
Dude.
HOA election approaching. In it,
Kill him?
she laid out the past 2 years of chaos. Stateside shaped needles of days and asked one simple question. Do you trust this woman to lead this community?
Taking effective fire.
Then out.
Killed him.
Neighbors who hadn't attended
You know that button you just pressed to put on your plate?
the annual election.
Just put on all three, then you're chilling. Yeah, wait only 50 seconds until I come back.
If I have to. Karen
Think you can
said
last?
Suddenly, she was canvassing like a politician in crisis, knocking on doors, handing out flyers with photos of her standing next to trim hedges and freshly painted curbs.
Yeah, you killed 4 people.
Karen cares. I almost spit out my coffee. She hosted a pre-election mix at the clubhouse, serving dry cookies and lukewarm tea, standing by a slideshow.
We got 22 seconds left.
Tradition.
There's a loadout drop if you want to head for it.
These unpermitted lawn ornaments threaten our identity.
That's what I'm going for.
Pointing to a flamingo wearing a cowboy hat. But people weren't buying it. I arrived at that meeting.
Well, they had the cash. And there, and I'm back too.
I didn't need it.
Nice job.
Then, the moment everyone had waited for nomination time, Karen nominated herself naturally for the sake of continuity, she said. But then Ron stood up, wearing a shirt
Yeah,
that said,
I am too.
HOA equals
Jump out the Coliseum, click your parachute button.
Glenda seconded it so fast.
Jump out the window.
Karen's
Dude,
eyes
then
flickered.
press your
This isn't a popularity contest,
parachute.
she snapped. It's about protecting this community from entropy and lawsuits. Bottom hands.
There you go.
Linda,
Careful.
Karen's company,
Right here.
slouched lower her seat.
Oh wait, you don't got a loadout, do you?
It was anonymous. Small slips of paper. One
I was gonna
page.
let you test out the pistol
Karen
too.
kept glancing
Here,
at
I'll
the
give you my
teacher,
pistol. Come over here and I'll drop this
watching
to you.
each sheet. After 30 minutes,
Okay?
the votes were tallied. Fatima, 48.
Come over here.
Karen, 3. One of those is probably the wrong.
I'm honoring you to test the golden pistol.
Karen stood up slowly, adjusted her necklace, and delivered a farewell speech no one had asked for. I only ever believe was best, she said. That made
Up there on the
me
mountain.
so be it. You
I'm
weren't
fine.
the villain. You were just the HOA's final boss. The room exploded with laughter. Karen didn't even sit back down. She just grabbed her foot.
How's that? And armor. What do you think of that pistol?
The team of first was on every part
I'm fine with using a 9mm. It doesn't affect my gun.
They were reviewed, and nearly half were opposed, including the bin placement rule, the mailbox monopoly, and the
I have a sniper rifle too. This is my sniper.
that banned Easter reads past 8 to 10.
I'm not using my original sniper. I always do.
The
Except for a new one.
newsletter revealed that Karen had secretly voted to increase her own monthly stipend by $500.
Why are you dropping it?
Disguised as community aesthetics advisor.
Hey, you want this SMG?
She had been paying herself to be a nuisance.
Or you can go grab you a loadout.
For reimbursement. Legally, she owed the
I'm fine with using my own pistol. Looks like it.
Someone asked.
Notice it shoots gold, right?
Father said, but we're also not in the business of chasing ghosts. Karen vanished from public life after that. Her house went dark. Her boutique closed.
Oh.
She stopped walking. Only trace of her left was a broken surveillance.
Hit.
Still wedged in Cliff's hedge, we left it there like a relic. Our own miniature monument to collapsing tyranny. From that day, not and Karen, she lost the only vote that ever really mattered.
Get your butt on that ground. Oh, wow. You got to run the finisher?
Being publicly exposed as the self-appointed surveillance queen of suburbia. Karen would have gone quiet, maybe taken up yoga, or finally read the HOA bylaws. She weaponized for years. But no, Karen resurfaced in spectacular fashion. Lawsuit. Not just any lawsuit. Mind you, Karen filed a civil suit against the HOA divorce, the neighborhood Facebook group, and the HOA mailbox itself.
Finally.
Blaming emotional distress, targeted humiliation.
They had plenty of stuff. I need to put on armor.
According to her 17-page handwritten complaint, filed in Comic Sans again, a war crime.
You wanna move?
Karen alleged that a coordinated effort was made.
Level 8, nice. I'm prestige 6, so I have double XP activated on my account.
And a conspiracy involving the barbecue event. It was
I'm thinking to go find another loadout drop so I can get my other sniper.
Including one where Cliff photoshopped her face onto the wicket when she was holding a yard sign that read, "I'll get you and your little trash bins too." But the highlight of the filing, Karen accused me of weaponizing architecture as a form of community intimidation. I didn't even know what that meant. When summons arrived at Fatina's doorstep, she nearly choked on her tea. As a lawyer, she knew exactly what this was. A classic slap suit, strategic lawsuit, basically, Karen was trying to bury some legal papers, hoping we'd give up. We didn't. Bottom of
I was trying to heal. Get him.
Even finished stapling her exhibits.
Where's any armor?
Smiling children near my gazebo.
Over here. Circles moved in.
At the first court hearing, Karen represented herself. Decked out in the power suit that looked one shoulder pad away from the villain monologue.
Let's crack one open for the boys.
Honored, she began. I've been vilified, spied upon, mocked, and emotionally vandalized. The judge blinked. Vandalized, she repeated. Emotionally, she clarified. My heart has been defeated by negligence. Across the aisle, I bit my...
How about we head over there?
The judge didn't bother hiding his smirk. Let me get this straight, he said. You're suing the HOA for hosting a potluck you were invited to? It was a targeted attack, she replied. They served deviled eggs. They know I'm allergic to cream. That was the moment Father stood up, handed the judge a copy of the HOA open event announcement from 2 weeks earlier. Karen had RSVP'd.
Yeah, I saw that.
The case started crumbling like Karen's overbaked cookies. The court, which included several neighbors watching the matter, collectively gasped when the judge asked, "Are you also suing the mailbox?"
Uber Eats delivery.
Symbolically, she answered. It represents systemic gaslighting. The judge rubbed his temples. "Ma'am, this is small claims court, not group therapy." Karen's voice.
Bounty.
I have been emotionally.
Back here.
Cliff, sitting behind me, whispered, "Can we file a countersuit for comedic damages?" The judge dismissed the case on the spot. Not only that, he warned Karen that filing these lawsuits for broken sanctions. Do not clog my courts with grievances better suited for Facebook status, he said, hammering the gavel like he was trying to wake up. Karen stormed out.
Over here. There's another dude over here. Our bounty says it over here, so.
Entire transcript
Oh my god!
24 hours, and quickly turned into a dramatic YouTube reenactment called Karen vs. Reality. HSA trial. Local actors.
Get out of here!
Fake courtroom. It went viral. Someone even auto-tuned Karen's courtroom monologue into a song called Emotionally Vandalized, which hit 120,000 streams in 2 days. She became a meme again, but this time nationwide. Her boutique,
That's 6.
her house, for sale. Though the listing carefully avoided using words like friendly. Meanwhile, Fatima received a case of judgment. Thank you for stealing my footprint. Karen had hoped her lawsuit.
Walk right now.
Instead, it turned her into the cautionary tale of 8 years. Her final attempt to punish the neighborhood only reminded everyone that when the foundation of petty grievances,
Let me do this.
unchecked evil, even the strongest house communities collapsed under its own ridiculous weight. Just when we
Ah!
after losing the presidency, getting fined, becoming a viral meme, and soon literal men.
I gotta go do something real quick. You can set yourself up a loadout, but I'm gonna go quick, be right back. I gotta go feed the dogs real quick. I'm not feeling getting off, I'm just going to feed the dogs real quick.
Noticed something strange. Karen's property.
That's all I'm gonna be doing.
Specifically, the deed on
Didn't do bad, but I'll just be right back.
At first, we thought she just used a legal loophole to protect her assets. But as Fatima dug further, less was spread loving soul. She found a clause in HOA
Yeah, so I'll just be
that
right
no one
back.
had enforced in years. Only deed holding
I'm gonna
residents in good
quick
standing
scoop
may
out
serve
some
on
food for
the
the our
If
little
your name
rats
wasn't on the
outside.
deed, you couldn't vote, hold office, or serve on
Good
committees.
time for that.
Karen, it turned out, had been a legal voting resident the entire time she was in prison. Her home belonged to Silver
Set yourself up with loadout.
Trust, managed by a man named Boris.
I'll send me
Her
when I get back.
was still technically her place after the divorce. Karen had never updated paperwork. Legally, she was just a tenant who find homeowners, rewrote rules, and launched drone-level surveillance over land she didn't even own. The moment Fatima confirmed it, she called an emergency meeting. What you're about to hear, she told the packed clubhouse, might just void every rule Karen ever passed. Gasps, murmurs. Cliff dropped his jewel. Fatima laid out step by step the trust, the ownership clause, the voting illegitimacy, the legal implications. According to the bylaws, she concluded, Karen was never eligible for board service. Every vote she cast was invalid. It hit the room like a thunderclap, blended whisper. So, all those trash fines? Gone. Fatima nodded. Technically unenforceable. Ron let out a loud handshake and popped up on someone. But Karen wasn't there. She hadn't attended a meeting since her courtroom drama. So we did the only neighborly thing we could. We handed over the findings, wrapped in a copy of the HOA handbook, highlighted in clear pen. The next day, her lawn sign disappeared. Then her potted plants. Then her surveillance birdhouses. One by one, her traces evaporated. But the final poetic moment came when the HOA voted to reverse every single policy Karen had pushed through. The trash bin regulations, white, the lighting standard, burned, the mailbox monopoly, overturned unanimously. And for fun, we renamed the community beautification policy to the Don't Be a Karen clause. But wait, the icing? A local real estate agent told us Karen's house had been on the market for 3 weeks with no bites. Why? Because prospective buyers kept Googling her name. The top results? Surveillance Karen HOA meltdown. Karen sues mailbox. And a photo of her holding a tape measure to a trash can. And the kicker? Since she technically didn't own the home, she couldn't even approve her own sale without Lawrence's signature. And Lawrence, oh, we knew what she'd been up to. Turns out, he was living a peaceful RV life in Arizona and hadn't heard a peep about her HOA shenanigans. When Fatima reached out to verify the ownership details, he sent back a single sentence. Whatever she's done, I want no part of it. Sell it, demolish it, give it to science. I'm done. He posted it, framed in the HOA newsletter. For months, Karen had tried to act like a queen of the cul-de-sac, only to discover she didn't even own the castle. Everything she built on false authority crumbled overnight. No more power, no more platform, not even a vote. And so, the woman who ruled our block like a tyrant wasn't just overthrown. She was retroactively erased. The HOA records now list the entire term as nullified due to ineligibility. Cliff wrote a limerick. Glenda stitched it on a throw pillow. There once was a Karen so bold, slash rule without deed or hold slash. When the truth came to light, slasher rules lost their bite slash. And her clipboard was repossessed cold. We laughed. We healed. And Karen? Well, rumor has it she's trying to start a new HOA in a rental apartment complex. After being stripped of the title, humiliated in court, and exposed as a non-owner with no legal standing, most people would move away in shame. Maybe try their luck with a quiet condo in Florida or a Wi-Fi free cabin. But not Karen. Karen didn't retreat. She rebranded. One morning, the neighborhood Facebook page led up to a new group inviting Meadowbrook 2 Residents Alliance. The admin, Karen. The banner, a stock photo of the gated community. And Google Images. Her tagline, for those who believe in real standards, not HOA corruption. It was so on brand we thought it was satire. It wasn't. She began recruiting neighbors. It started with old allies like Linda, her cousin, Brad, her failed trash enforcer, and a couple others who just wanted drama. She called it a resident-led grassroots movement, which is ironic because she once fined Linda for growing unauthorized grass variety. In her first post, she listed her goals: restore traditional order, protect neighborhood charm, and reject the illegitimate HOA regime. She included 10 Karen commandments, her own made-up rules such as, thou shalt not display flags or clash with community tones, no more than 3 lawn ornaments, and the infamous mailboxes must align within 5 degrees of curbside true north. She tried to organize true HOA meetings at the local Panera Bread. 3 people showed up, 2 of them pursued. At the second meeting, Ron brought a boom box and played circus music in the background. When Karen asked him to leave, he said, this is a public bread zone, Karen. You don't rule the tobacco. Meanwhile, Fatima issued a formal statement. This residence alliance is not legally recognized as no governance entity and not pay her fake dues. Oh, yes. Karen was trying to charge dues. $25 per month via Venmo, labeled Karen Key. She claimed it was to fund alternative beautification initiatives, but someone exposed the first expense. 3 boxes of clear folders and a personalized mug that read, still the real president. Within days, the Facebook group became a battleground. Residents flooded in the meetings. Cliff posted pictures of no army lined up like riot police. Glenda started a hashtag. Hashtag Karen T-Stop on the T-Stop. And cross-stitching on the T-Tower. Karen banned over a dozen people with disruptive sarcasm and labeled them non-compliant infiltrators. Her posts became increasingly unhinged. The HOA is illegitimate. They stole my power. My surveillance was for the greater good. She even accused Fatima of being planted by anti-structure anarchists. That's when the final unraveling began. A screenshot surfaced showing Karen messaging potential members. We're starting our own parallel rulebook, our own code, our own rule. When asked who was on the shadow group, she replied, just me, for now, until the others pass the vetting process. It was a dictatorship in denial. Things hit rock bottom when she tried to launch her own true HOA website using Wix's free plan. The homepage banner read, reclaim, reform, read Karen. It lasted 2 days before it was reported for misinformation. Someone hacked it and redirected visitors to a video of Cliff reading HOA bylaws dramatically over bongos. Karen was furious. She accused the real HOA of cyber warfare. Fatima responded, ma'am.
Okay, I'm back.
Eventually,
Make me load up now. Wait, you got your mic working?
After enough residents reported it as misleading,
So your mic active.
possibly co-adjacent. She tried
Yo, got it.
That group was banned in a week. Her final act of desperation, printing flyers, stop signs, mailbox posts, and bus benches, urging neighbors to reclaim the truth.
That sucks.
Within hours, Local kids turned them into origami.
I'm working on making me a sniper
One
class.
even taped a tiny hashtag Karen banner to his tricycle.
My God.
Final nail? The mayor's office received a complaint letter from Karen demanding official intervention.
Yeah. I might not making a sniper.
The response? A politely worded letter that ended. Please.
Yeah, a sniper.
Letterhead templates for personal disputes. At last,
Use good weapons.
The government collapsed under the weight of its own glittering paperwork. Her
Click your click it.
were more whimpers than likes.
Just
No
click it.
members, no influence. No money.
Man, why you sound British?
Sitting alone at Panera with a clipboard.
Oh.
Trying to reclaim a crown no one wanted her to wear in the first place.
Okay, I'm gonna use my marksman shotgun.
Acted like she was above the law. HOA rules are public opinion and apparently common sense. But while we were laughing at memes and turning her shadow HOA into a comedy sketch, something darker.
Oh, those are camos.
During Fatima's forensic audit, Karen's time as HOA president.
With mine, if you want like similar to mine, you're going to have Black Ops 6 and grind on zombies.
Totaling over $11,000, all taken from community funds, and all undocumented beyond Karen's signature.
But you can get Warzone camos.
One of them
You just gotta kill with weapons.
Major lie. But the rail bomb dropped from the cliff, with the help of his nephew, a CPA, discovered something game-changing. Karen never reported any of this on her taxes. Not a cent. Number 10.
What weapon did you use?
No expense filings. Just cashing HOA checks and transferring them to her boutique's bank account like it was monopoly money. With Fatima's help, we compiled the evidence and submitted it directly to the IRS fraud reporting portal. Within weeks,
Keep on killing with
Karen's
it then.
little house of decorative lies became a federal investigation. She didn't even know it was happening until the day a government-issued envelope arrived with
For Apple time before you leave.
the intent to audit. Karen tried to play it off in the neighborhood app on her last public post. Apparently.
What you like? What you want camos like mine?
But the IRS was laughing. They hit her with 3 years worth of
Well, you're gonna have to kill then. You gotta get killing.
plus interest and penalties. Total liability. $14,360.
Not much.
And since you funneled money to the boutique without filing business income, that was another $3,000 in fine for false classification. But wait, it gets better. The HOA board voted to demand repayment of every dollar she took, citing misappropriation of dues. The legal grounds were airtight. She had paid herself stipends from the community fund without approval or vote. Fatima hand delivered the formal repayment.
I need my
complete with timeline evidence and a cheerful note.
That's Casey cooking, not me.
Rules are rules.
No, I'm just gonna stick with my baton.
This time, no one.
And then use the
Gerald
pistol.
Strutz, her long abandoned lawyer,
Like that.
declined to represent her.
Oh, you want like
I no
my
longer accept
weapons.
nature-related vengeance cases. He wrote in an
Oh.
viral LinkedIn update with no legal team, no support,
That's
no
cool.
actual property ownership to claim
But
hardship.
mine, I don't know how I made them. I just added certain weapons until I got what I liked.
For illegally placing surveillance devices in public spaces. And
Stem
since the
shots.
birdhouse cameras have been partially funded with HOA money,
Why you turn your mic off?
we'll reimburse every last one. We gathered them 12 total.
Oh, you crashed again.
Camera amnesty day.
I'll wait until you get back on.
Automatically dropped each one into a recycling bin labeled Karen's black box. But the most poetic consequence? Her boutique, once a vanity project, it was seized by the county for back business taxes and unpaid licensing fees. Her inventory, mostly glitter clipboards and lawn sign templates, was auctioned off to raise funds. I bought one of the clipboards for $2. It now hangs above the HOA mailbox with a little plaque that reads, "For services no one asked for, Karen, unable to pay everything at once, agreed to a repayment plan. Every month, $300 is automatically withdrawn and funneled back into the HOA's general maintenance fund. It pays for new community benches, dog park upgrades, and a free barbecue night for residents. As a joke, we were named the grill of Karen Hughes. Kids loved it. Adults brought marshmallows. Meanwhile, Karen, stripped of influence,
The skin?
reputation, even furniture, quietly rented out her house
Oh, no, you'd have to take a long while trying to find
We
him.
know because she applied to their HOA board and was rejected. Word had traveled. Her reputation now
I ain't forgotten where it's at.
The IRS might have hit her wallet, but it was a neighborhood that hit her ego. And that's what really broke her. She had tried to rule the rules from fear. And in the end, she had to cut a check to the very people she was trying to protect. And every time the community sees a new park bench or garden upgrade, someone inevitably says, Karen paid.
I don't know.
With the dust of lawsuits, fines, and audits finally settled, the neighborhood entered a golden age of peace.
Working on my gun right now.
Actual community. The air just felt lighter. Mailboxes were painted. Backyard pavers bloomed with hanging gardens. And even the trash bins wore googly eyes again. The HOA board, now led by Fatima, focused on collaboration, not control. The first post-Karen event was dubbed the Liberation Wow, complete with tiki torches, inflatable flamingos, and a community-built bonfire where residents symbolically burned expired violation notices. Cliff brought a pinata.
I'm working on my guns right now.
Glenda sang a parody of Let It Go called Let Her Go. And when the new barbecue grill fired up, the Karen Cube.
Don't your guys' money.
Sizzled with a stainless steel flame fueled by poetic justice. For a while.
Why are you saying that?
Finally put the tyranny behind us. But then Karen returned. Sort of.
Okay.
One quiet Saturday, a stack of handfuls
Do what you want.
appeared in mailboxes and under welcome mats. Dear neighbors, let's go together.
Oh.
Again, written in her signature Comic Sans.
No.
And no mistakes were made. I know some of you felt unheard, unseen, unmeasured. It read like a villain's apology, letter dictated to a PR intern.
I don't play that.
She offered to host a restorative community dialogue. In her driveway, she even promised free cupcakes, baked using her award-winning lavender guilt frosting. People were confused, amused, but mostly annoyed. Cliff posted a photo of the flyer with the caption, "When your ex-HOA president sends cupcakes instead of subpoenas." Fatima replied with, "Not everything needs closure, especially if it once fined you for your wind chimes."
Okay, and I'll switch my operator real quick.
Linda, still family, and Brad, still confused. Karen sat on a lawn chair surrounded by folding
There we go.
chairs. The whiteboard labeled vision board.
Make sure my weapons are doing fine.
And cupcakes arranged in passive-aggressive tears.
Just don't mind my skin then.
Forgive me, funfetti, and oops, I spotted you sprinklers. A few neighbors drove by just to honk around. One kid skateboarded to the scene. No one wants her HOA too. Electric boogaloo. Karen's face twitched, but she stayed put, delivering a half-hearted speech about the opportunity to start fresh. It ended with, "Let's bring back order together." She looked around. Silence. Then Linda cleared her throat and said, "Maybe. Just enjoy retirement." The next morning, she posted one last message in the community app. "I tried. That's more than most people say. I only wanted to help." Reactions poured in. Not the ones she hoped for. Linda posted a GIF again of "You have no power here." Ron uploaded photos of the mailbox, surrounded by gnomes doing the conga line. I simply replied with a drone photo of the neighborhood lighter older, and blooming with unregulated flower beds. Karen deleted the app, unsubscribed from the newsletter, moved out quietly.
And the shotgun's weak.
The new homeowners hosted a welcome and no tiny rusted sign bolted into a rock in a former front yard that read, "Community watch list." We turned it into a bottle of.
I'm gonna have to edit the shotgun a little more firepower.
Fatima named it Solution. Flip called Freedom Grows Here at the Park. And every time someone walked by with a smile, we remembered we didn't just survive Karen. We outgrew her. And just when we thought the Karen Chronicles had finally reached their end, fate, wonderfully ironically, served as one last encore. Months had passed since Karen's tear-stained cupcake apology to her. Her failed vision board 2.0.
Okay, so I need a stronger shotgun.
The house sold fast. New owners, the retired couple of therapy mamas, were
Oh my god.
Life had
Go and try to get back in here.
But then, in a twist straight out of dark sitcom, Fatima received a service bid from a cleaning company offering janitorial support for community center. The company was small, recently launched, and based only one zip code over. It was called Civic Clean Solutions. Fatima nearly dropped her coffee when she saw the listed supervisor, Karen Whitmore. That's right. After years of obsessively policing aesthetic purity, Karen had become a licensed, bonded cleaning contractor. We couldn't make this up if we tried. The woman who found neighbor for unbalanced moat symmetry was now offering to mop off floors and empty our trash bins. Ward was not. What do we do? Linda whispered, hire her. Cliff said instantly, oh, absolutely. I nodded. It's too poetic not to. The vote was unanimous. We signed a contract for monthly cleaning services with one condition. Karen must clean the community center herself. No assistants. No subcontractors. She agreed. Pride? Long gone. The first day she arrived, mop in hand, the neighborhood held a pancake breakfast across the street. Our subtle way of watching history mop itself clean. Karen wore oversized sunglasses, a sun hat, an expression of someone who knew she'd become her own HOA violation. She entered quietly, rolling her cart past the very bench her old clients once hung it as she scrubbed the bulletin board, where she used to post her rules. A new laminated notice hung above her. Please be kind to those working hard to maintain our space, even if they once fined you for patriotic mailbox pay. She didn't look up. Her gloves squeaked against the glass door as she once stormed through the legal pads and laminated citations. And now, she was Windexing them. There was no ridicule, no murder, just occasional glances of disbelief and quiet justice. Glenda brought her a bottle of water, labeled compliance-approved hydration. Karen accepted it with a silent nod. And then, the moment that sealed it forever, she bent down to collect trash beneath the new bulletin board and found a crumpled flyer with her bold slogan, Karen Cares. She paused, crushed it, threw it in the bin. Poetic. That evening, we walked through the sparkling clean community center. It had never looked better. Cliff tapped the mop bucket and said, you know, for someone who hated trash so much, she's gotten pretty good at cleaning up. We laughed. Not cruelly, just honestly. Because in the end, Karen got exactly what she always wanted. A role where she could walk around with gloves, issue cleanliness corrections, and maintain order. She just never thought it would be with a mop. Fatima left her a thank you card on the front desk. Service is honorable, even if it took you a while to do it right. That was it. No fines, no report, just a silent, satisfying irony of a woman who tried to control everything, only to be left managing the one thing she never respected, actual work. Karen the ruler became Karen the janitor, not out of punishment, but out of poetic necessity. She cleaned the community center the next year, never speaking or spoken to, quietly polishing the same building where her empire once stood. And every time the floor cleaned, someone would smile and say, Karen was here, and for once, it meant something good. It started, as these things always do, with a note, not a knock, not a conversation, just a passive-aggressive sort of...
You're not gonna get back on, dude? I thought it was running after something. Mind if I get some food? I think she left. I don't know if she's still there because she. But I did. Yep. Can I go get some food? Some of that food? Ow, my throat.
HOA manualized the plan and the closing made no mention of rehabilitation or conduct. Only that driveways must be maintained and structurally sound. Still, I chalked it up to misunderstanding until the second bill arrived. This one had the audacity to include a $75 aesthetic violation fee, citing non-traditional paving ornamentation. I snorted. Aesthetic violation? What did they want? Pebble mosaics and bald eagles. I decided to attend the next HOA meeting, mostly out of curiosity, but partly to get ahead of whatever passive-aggressive paper storm Karen had in store next. That's when I met her. Karen Witherspoon, president of Open's ancient, self-declared guardian of vision and equipment. She was a force. Platinum bob, peach blazer, and a whistle lanyard combo that made her look like a long-top moonlighting as a wedding planner. When I brought up the driveway violation, she leaned forward, fingers templed, and asked if I'd clear the design with the aesthetic standards subcommittee. I said I hadn't known such a committee existed. She smiled tightly, like a cat watching a hamster load its grocery cart. We assumed, she said, you'd have consulted the HOA before making such a drastic decision. Drastic? It was content. If it had been painted lime green or something,
Okay.
I'd understand.
I don't mind playing by myself for a while.
Tone compass road.
I'm gonna play a quick match.
It wasn't about design.
Trying to test out my guns.
Karen reeked of it. Her voice, her smugness, the way she corrected the meeting minutes in real time was bad. Things escalated fast. Within a week, I received not one but 3 more violation notices. One for my garbage not being visible for over 18 minutes after pickup. Another for excessive vehicle presence. I'd have guessed over football Sunday. And the most absurd of all, a citation for non-regulation curtain color window. Beige, not blue, not black, beige. Karen had weaponized the HOA guidelines like a petty dictator. My neighbors mostly stayed quiet, but I caught the sideways glances. One whispered that Karen once fined someone $200 and have Halloween lights up beyond the allowable spooky period. Another confessed that Karen patrolled the sidewalks each morning with a clipboard like it was basic training. Still, I stayed cool. After all, I've dealt with that rather than domestic standouts. Middle-aged HOA tyrants and ruling complex, which is exactly the kind of recommendation I even tried reaching out politely. Invited her for coffee to clear the air. She declined with a note. Due to your continued disregard for HOA decorum, I do not feel safe engaging directly. All communication will be via voice. Then she escalated further. She filed a formal complaint with the county, claiming my driveway might be in violation of municipal code. Stretched, since it had passed city inspection during closing. The county clerk's office called me, confused, asking why someone reported an unauthorized urban construction project. The woman actually used those words. I laughed. This was a compelling truth. It was turning into an obsession. When I asked around, I learned Karen had done it before. A couple in the backyard. Burglar got reported to zoning. A teenager's car decal was deemed visually speaking. But no one felt bad. They just rolled around. That's when I realized Karen didn't want a neighborhood. She wanted a people. And she ruled the citation in whispers. But I wasn't the average resident. What Karen did not know, yet the position I started with some navigate someone with access to law enforcement contacts. She thought I was another woman. She had no idea I was a cop, but she was soon.
Let us know in the comments below. Have a Karen for the HOA. Did your neighborhood ever stand up to a new dictator? Drop your wildest HOA story below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell because you don't want to miss the next girl scandal and sweet justice. 3 days after the county clerk brushed off a bogus complaint, I came home to a crowd of flashing blue lights. Only they weren't mine. 2 patrol cars idled over my house. Engines humming, lights strobing across the suburban column, low-budget cop car. As I pulled into the driveway, one officer stood. Stop. Sir, we received a report of
Enemy soldier
construction
You're clear to engage with
glancing
hostile.
awkwardly at my perfectly paved concrete. Color stated there was graffiti activity in progress. I blinked, then actually laughed. You mean my driveway? The other officer, Officer Ramirez, a rookie I'd helped train at the academy, recognized me instantly. His face morphed from confusion to Sergeant Davis? Oh man, Karen didn't tell us the route. I raised a laugh. Karen moved, and gestured suddenly across the street. she stood,
An enemy squad
told them
tracking
we
your
were
location.
defacing property. She shrugged. I watched them raise the compass yesterday, except I hadn't. I power washed it. Something completely legal and honestly overdue. She'd taken my Saturday chore and turned it into a federal case. I walked with the officers to the driveway and calmly explained what I was doing. She pulled out the from my folder like a magician. Looks like you're in the clear, sir. Karen's voice ratcheted up several octaves. He's intimidating me, she cried. I don't feel safe. Mind you, I was standing 20 feet away, hands in my pockets, speaking in what could generously be described as bored bad energy. She doubled down. In my mental health, the absurdity would have been funny if it hadn't been so dangerous. 911 misuse wasn't just annoying, it diverted real emergency resources. Ma'am, Ramirez said gently, this isn't an emergency. No crime's been committed here. She wasn't done. Are you even checking his ID? How do you know he lives here?
The enemy is no
Ramirez
longer
didn't
tracking
know.
you. You
And
lost
I
that.
handed him my badge. Slowly, deliberately, the silence that followed was deafening. Karen's mouth opened, then snapped shut like someone had hit the mute button on a toddler's tantrum. You're a cop, she whispered, color draining from her face. Community liaison board. Would you like to see my paper?
Nice job.
Karen didn't answer.
Get your aim on sight next time.
Darted from the badge to the driveway. Compass rose was a personal insult. I didn't know, she stammered. Ramirez cleared his throat. Ma'am, we're going to need to document this as a false report. We'll also be filing emergency services. I'm the HOA president. I am
Ah!
You don't have jurisdiction over public law, I said quietly. This is your property. It's a neighborhood. The police but not with the official. As their cars pulled away, still holding her, still trying to salvage her dignity. I waved. She didn't wave back. Instead, she vanished behind her door like Dracula recoiling from
Earn
sunlight.
redeployment
Over
or
the
die
next few
trying.
days, the air in the neighborhood shifted. People started walking their dogs past my house in the morning, making quiet. A few even nodded in solidarity. One man, a former Marine, saluted. Another neighbor slipped me a sticky note that read, "Finally, someone stood up to her." Karen, however, doubled down. She wasn't humiliated. She was enraged. I heard her pacing the corridor.
Enemy eliminated. Careful redeployment.
Nice job.
Window during meetings. I wasn't just a homeowner anymore. I was a challenge, a threat, a symbol of defiance. Karen wasn't used to being now they were legal. Anonymous complaints to the city started rolling in. Once, I found a packet of Moss fertilizer.
I deployed!
We'll get him back.
Subtle? Not even close. Childish? Absolutely. But Karen wasn't interested in logic. She was drowning in wounded pride and power.
Vehicle destroyed.
The problem was, she still thought it was a petty neighborhood swamp. She hadn't figured out that I'd begun collecting evidence. Every report, every note, every interaction. Documented timestamp, backed up to 3 hard drives. Because I knew where this was going. Karen wanted a fight. She was about to get one. At first, I thought it was just a vendetta. Some fragile ego bruised by authority, reacting like a wasp swatted too close to her paper throne. But then I got curious. Karen had been HOA president for almost 8 years, re-elected each term without competition. That's rare in itself. Most HOA boards rotate, share duties, not Oak Ridge Hills. Karen ran it like a monarchy. So I did what any good cop does when the surface doesn't match the structure. I pulled the thread. I requested the HOA's financial records through my legal right as a dues paying member. Karen delayed, ignored, finally handed over a printed stack that looked like it was generated by a Windows 95 printer. Dozens of entries labeled only as maintenance reimbursements and miscellaneous admin. The numbers didn't add up. Over
Use this time for some
$12,000
target
spent on work
practice.
with no
The real thing's coming
no
soon.
addresses, no contract. One reimbursement for community notifications. Materials was paid to a company called KW Lifestyle Solutions. A quick LLC search revealed it was registered.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Didn't do bad.
Her personal
Surprised I'm not dead yet, so let's test out the big boom again. Oh, Get that helicopter out of my face, boy!
I dug deeper, called a few former residents who'd moved out in the last 2 years. One said he left because
Man, try to hit me with a helicopter!
he didn't work in his garage.
What did I do?
And she finally went to bankruptcy. Literally issued over $1,400 in citations in 3 weeks. The HOA board, supposedly a group of 5, hadn't met formally in over a year. I contacted one of the board members, a retired teacher named Doris Bell. Doris was shocked to hear she was still listed as
Just
a member.
closing on your position.
I stepped down 2
Just
years
hightail it
ago.
out of there.
Excuse me?
Karen said she was unable to pay the bill. I bet she never did. I checked public finances. She hadn't. In fact, 3 of the 5
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Primary objective
which
is
meant
to
one
eliminate
thing.
all targets.
Karen was running a one-woman company, and she was paying herself for the community. That's when it clicked. The fines and bizarre HOA bills that changed monthly.
Nice job.
They weren't out of order. They were.
Pick up the Great King Bendy while you can.
Every time she issued a fine, that money flowed into the HOA pool. And from there, a piece made its way back into Karen's private company through padded service invoices. Holiday lighting consultation, $850. Distribution strategy, $500. I found a receipt for emergency paving aesthetic design. The exact complaint she paid to Karen. Proved by Karen. The layers that was wrapped. I checked with the local HOA regulation board, and they confirmed it. None of her expenditures were itemized.
Nah, man.
No outside audits had been performed in over 5 years. It was an airtight little empire.
Get up the roof!
Someone had cracked the case. I wanted to keep this quiet at first, let her bury herself without suspecting. But she must have sensed something. The notes turned from passive-aggressive to...
Oh, there's the dude still.
Your behavior is wrong. We have surveillance records. Another one warned...
Hey, listen, I'm a friendly if you check out the Great King
Which isn't
Bendy.
even a real status. You're either fined or you're not. There's no courtesy. She was flailing, but the anonymous tip. A letter in a plain white envelope slipped under my door.
I'm going for these kills.
Check the HOA.
See you in the window, bud.
It read, midnight, bring a flashlight, be quiet. It sounded like a bad horror movie setup. Curiosity. I went. The HOA shed sat behind the community tennis courts, locked with a rusted padlock. I brought both
What?
just in case.
Yeah, sure.
The lock was snapped, hanging by a thread. Inside, it was chaos. Bins overflowing with old paperwork, crumpled receipts, and what looked like drafts of HOA citations written in blackboards. But in the far corner was the jackpot, a fireproof box labeled KW Finances. Inside, everything Karen had tried to hide. Handwritten ledgers, copies of checks, photos of community work done by Karen's nephew, billed as licensed...
Oh no, I'm so scared.
Under reviews printed from burner inmates. I took photos, all of it. That night, I started a case file, not as a neighbor, as a law enforcement officer. Karen wasn't just violating HOA bylaws. She was committing fraud, financial abuse, possibly tax evasion. I wasn't just dealing with a neighborhood tyrant anymore. I was looking at a criminal, and I had the receipts to prove it. I brewed a pot of coffee and began my takedown plan like I'd prepped for a real case briefing. I was about to introduce her to democracy law enforcement style. First move, I filed a formal complaint with the State's Department of Consumer Protection, attaching the fake reimbursements, missing audits, and phantom vendors linked to KW Lifestyle Solutions. I included the anonymous testimonies of 5 former residents who claimed financial harassment. Step 2 was subtler. I printed redacted versions of Karen's bogus invoices and anonymously slid them into the mailboxes of everyone. No commentary, just facts. Let them draw their own conclusions. By 5 p.m., the HOA Facebook group, which Karen had previously moderated, was in full revolt. Anyone else notice Karen reimbursing herself? One user posted, "Where's the vote for all these maintenance upgrades?" Another asked. I watched the storm build from my porch, sipping my coffee like it was popcorn.
Enemy
By
UAV
day
is
2,
online.
Karen called an emergency meeting. I showed up with a clipboard, recorder, and my new favorite accessory, a GoPro clipped discreetly to my shirt pocket. The meeting was packed. The usual 5 attendees had ballooned to over 30 homeowners, all seated like jury members
Hostile
ready for
UAV
sentence.
in the area.
Karen opened with forced cheer. "I'm so glad we're all more engaged lately," she chirped. But when I raised my hand, the room shifted. "Before we begin," I said calmly, "can the board confirm the current officers?" She blinked. "Why?" "Because 3 of them have stepped down 2 over a year ago. So technically, this HOA has had no legal open in these 14 months." Murmurs exploded around me. Karen stammered, then declared, "That's irrelevant. I've been acting in good faith. I held up a document. Not when you've been cutting yourself checks from community dues without budget approval or contract release. That's fraud." Silence. I slid the HOA bylaws across the table to her. "You violated Articles 4, 6, and 11. Specifically, board budget disclosure and misuse of funds." Someone in the background. "She
The
bought
enemy
her
lost
nephew
track
a
of you.
lawnmower." Another neighbor added, "I paid a $150 fine for having a
Enemy
trellis.
UAV
Where did
overhead.
that money go?" Karen's face flushed. "You don't have proof." I smiled and dropped a folder of photos, receipts, and email headers onto the table like a lawyer delivering closing arguments. "Actually, I have more than enough."
Failure in life.
That's when she said,
Nice skin, by the way.
"This is harassment. He's spying on me." I raised. "No, Karen. I'm investigating you." Gasped. One man whispered, "He's a cop." She bolted from the meeting, muttering about slander and defamation. But the damage was done. Her once silent kingdom had turned against her. Within 24 hours, 5 homeowners called a vote of no confidence. By state HOA law, we only needed 25% of residents to sign
Friendly
a petition
loadout
for
drops on the
leadership
way.
review. We hit 40% in 2 days. Karen tried to fight it, claiming she'd never been properly challenged. So I hit her with something harder. A cease and desist letter from my attorney citing harassment, defamation, and violation of my property rights. It rattled her more than the vote. The idea of me taking her to court flipped her world upside down. She tried retaliating by removing me from the HOA Facebook group. So I started a new one, Oak Ridge Hills, without the tyrant. It gained more members in 3 days than hers had in 3 years. We organized a transparency. Every dollar she spent, every fine she issued, every excuse she gave, public, traceable, devastating. That week, her car was mysteriously egged. Not by me, but symbolic nonetheless. More homeowners came forward. One revealed Karen had threatened to red flag their mortgage to scare them into submission. Another found she'd altered
Just
voting
moving
rights
in.
during past
Safe
HOA
zone
elections.
located.
The neighborhood that once feared her now openly laughed when she walked by. Kids
Easy
mocked
peasy.
her by drawing little compass roses in chalk on their driveways. Irony weaponized by toddlers. Karen tried hosting a community healing circle, but only 2 people showed up. One just can't wear coats. Meanwhile, the board petition gained steam. We now had over 60% back. Her lawyer, yes, she got 1. issued a shaky statement that she was being unfairly targeted by a cold the track was closing, slow and legal. This wasn't revenge. This was justice, procedural, evidence. And best of all, she still hadn't realized just how much worse it was about to get. Because I hadn't sent the financial evidence to them. I would. I thought it would end with financial fraud. A little investment, forged I was wrong. This wasn't just about greed. Karen had built an entire shadow network under the radar. And once I peeled back the next layer, the smell wasn't just rotten, it was criminal. When the HOA audit committee I helped form finally forced her to release the last 5 years of vendor contracts, something immediately jumped out. The same 3 companies, Suburban Serenity Lawn Care, Oak Ridge Security Consultants, and EcoTrust Landscaping, had won over 90% of all maintenance contracts. Every one of them was owned by someone with the last name Witherspoon. Her cousin, her nephew, and Bingo, her ex-husband, who filed for bankruptcy the same year the HOA started paying monthly security retainers of $600 for a patrol car no one ever saw. It was a fake security company, a shell, all to funnel dues back into her circle and keep her illusion of suburban on her spinning. One of my neighbors, Paul, a forensic accountant who used to audit tech firms, took one look at small scale, but definitely laundering. We cross-referenced vendor checks with HOA bank withdrawals and noticed that Karen always wrote checks on Fridays, right after HOA deposits. And those checks, cashed in person, no digital trails. It was sloppy, desperate, and criminal. But there was more. Remember those fines she was so fond of issuing? Turns out they weren't being deposited into the HOA account anymore. At least not the full amounts. We found a secondary ledger, handwritten and hidden in a binder labeled annual earning picture that listed ultimate income streams. One entry read, law rule violator X3 equals $225. Deposited to KWN. KW Petty? Was that her slush fund? The situation snowballed from one grade to another. Susan, who was a parent of child services, if she didn't remove a kiddie pool from her front lawn. She said it lowered property values. Susan witnessed during our HOA transparency. She told me my Susan had never filed a formal complaint until now. Karen's abuses had been subtle, psychological, perfectly designed to isolate and intimidate. And now they were all flooding into the open like mold behind a peeled wall. One couple revealed Karen had denied their backyard remodel by claiming they hadn't submitted Form 9B, which didn't exist. Another said Karen held their house sale hostage by refusing to approve resale documents unless they agreed to pay a retroactive visual non-compliance fee of $800. She made that up, too. I sent everything we had to the State Attorney General's office, then looped into IRS. When I mentioned the evidence of mystical income, duplicate reimbursement, and use of HOA funds, the investigator... She's cooked, he said. You've basically done our job for us. Good. Within a week, an official audit had begun. Karen didn't even know yet, but the tension was cracking through the polished. She started patrolling the neighborhood in cars. This time, taking photos of the camera and muttering to herself. One neighbor caught her outside at 2 a.m., measuring someone's mailbox post on a tape measure. She said it was clean for her. The guy told me, we laughed. Karen was unraveling. And the more she unraveled, the more she exposed. That's when we found the most disturbing detail in the HOA's original bylaws archived in the city of 2003 founding. There was no mention of any authority to issue fines above $50. Karen had been making them up the entire time. And worse, she had rewritten the bylaws on her own home computer and distributed edited versions. Fraudulent documents. She'd forged signatures from board members who no longer lived there. One man had passed away in 2019.
I know you're here.
Still signed piled it all.
Oh wow,
48
that's great.
document of receipts, bank transfers, screenshots, and then we printed 30 copies.
And
One for the state, one for the
oh, time to kill someone.
DA.
Let's just get out.
27 for each of the homeowners who had ever been fined, shamed, or manipulated by their HOA regime. The house in Colorado it was mid-collapse, and Karen, still clueless and one might be on the way, still walking her dog like she ruled the block, still typing passive-aggressive into next door under her anonymous alias HOA. She thought she was playing neighbor. She didn't know she was now the subject of 3 state-level investigations. But she was about to find out. And it wouldn't be a note on her door. It would be a knock. The day it all imploded started like any other in Oak Ridge Hills. Quiet lawns, humming sprinklers, and the ever-moving shadows. But something was different that morning. The community mailbox had been plastered with bright orange flyers titled Emergency HOA Meeting. No comment.
Okay.
Center. Karen didn't approve it. That's why
Grandpa, I have 14 kills right now. What? Oh, hey, I got fight, got fighter.
We had 66%.
The sniper.
The community center was standing room only. Retirees, parents, college kids back in university, all packed in, buzzing. One elderly even brought a thermos of spiked lemonade and handed out.
When do you want to join, Grandpa?
Karen entered 5 minutes later, clipboard clutched with a crucifix, visibly trembling. She tried her usual tactic, intimidation disguised as procedure.
I got my foot in the sack.
She began. Anything discussed.
I fed dogs when I before you left.
The crowd had turned. Someone coughed and muttered.
I thought.
Karen, another added, we brought receipts. I took the floor.
Did you wipe their pistol on their heads and make sure they had water?
No.
As the elected voice of the Transparency Committee, I laid out the
That's disrespectful.
projected on the screen behind me. Embezzled funds,
I get what you mean.
illegal fine sketches, forged board signatures, and over $31,000 paid to Karen's own relatives for services
What?
they never rendered. The room fell silent except for the occasional gasp or whispered curse word. Karen's eyes darted around like a cornered raccoon. This is character assassination, she screamed. I built this community. I raised my voice just enough to cut through hers. You built it on lies and fear. Today, it's in your phone. We handed out
Oh my god.
every homeowner in attendance got one. Yes or no? Should Karen Witherspoon be immediately removed as HOA president pending legal and civil review? We didn't even have to wait for the count. It was unanimous. 51 Not even her friend Patricia, the woman who once fined me for parking at a slightly defined angle, voted for her. Karen stood up and barked. This is illegal. I'll sue every one of you. Someone we already printed the she turned to me. You. You've manipulated them. I calmly replied, no, Karen. You did. I just turned on the lights. That's when she broke. She began pacing, muttering, knocking over a stack of folding chairs as she stormed out. Outside, she attempted to climb onto the community bulletin board bench and screamed out her dog, appropriately named Winston, took a dump during the rain. On the newly restored flower bed, she once fined a veteran $300 for overwatering. Symbolism writes itself. Someone live-streamed her meltdown. The hit 12,000 views in 24 hours. Local news picked it up under the segment. Suburban power trip ends in HOA mutiny. Karen's name was trending locally under the hashtag Karen. By the next morning, the state sent formal notice that an active investigation into HOA misappropriation was underway. The IRS had begun auditing her LLCs. The city building department flagged 3 permits she signed off on as in review for fraud. But the final blow came at her own front door, delivered not by me, but by a city official and a process server. She'd been officially removed from all HOA positions, pending legal proceedings. She stood there in fuzzy slippers, mascara halfway down her cheek, blinking like a deer in the high beams of accountability. "You're destroying me," she whispered as I walked by. I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk. I just said, "No, Karen, you did that all by yourself." Her voice cracked. "I was trying to preserve standards." "You mean suppress dissent?" Someone behind me said. It was Paul, the accountant. He held up his glass of lemonade. Later that week,
Oh, roof campers! That's great.
for the first time,
There's 3 whole roof campers.
someone brought a cake-shaped like a
I got died by roof campers.
the driveway that started it all.
There was 4 of them, or 3 of them. I don't even know. I got 16 kills.
Her blind straight shot. Her yard wild.